three ambitions in life. I wanted about a 5-carat diamond, I wanted a mink coat, and I wanted to ride in a Rolls Royce. The mink coat I've had, admittedly I only had it for a fortnight, and then the police took it from me. When I hit the West End, I was 15 years of age, and I was impressed by all these gangsters. I was asked to carry a shotgun along to Burlington Arcade. Something apparently was going to go on there. I've had my nose broken twice in a fortnight. I've had my forehead hanging out. We found a beauty, and it was on the ground floor. And they'd left the window open, and we went in. Jewellery everywhere, about £9,000 our way. I've nearly been party to 2 murders. Both women, actually. Both very irate women. Obviously, I land up in fights from time to time, and it's most ungainly for ladies to fight, you know, so at the time I'm not being a lady, and the language that goes with it will prove it.
This face in the crowd holds a most unusual position for a woman. She's a criminal, an all-round villain. It's hard for the straight world to conceive the reality of crime, which almost always does pay. Burglars, like the poor, were once easily recognizable. They had blue chins and masks. Today, when things aren't what they used to be, people are even less what they seem to be, and grafters blend with society. Patricia specializes in housebreaking and shoplifting. She's been thieving since she was 10 and never goes into a shop without picking up a little something. She's had 9 children from a variety of fathers and is now back in South London with her husband, who's straight. The thieves' landscape she inhabits is shadowed and uncertain, for no formula, no theory can explain the vast range of behaviour called crime or the vast range of personalities called criminals. And though we're always at the crest of a crime wave, few of us have ever met or talked with a criminal. The unknown underworld, menacing and grey, is a half-world away. So let's listen to Patricia being honest, for once.
This would probably be a marvellous creep. And a creep is something that you do when somebody's in a house and they're in bed, what have you, and you creep. And you go in that way, and you do it while they're in there.
But you're not very agile. I mean, could you climb up drain pipes? And
I've done it.
Have you?
I've done it, yeah. I've done it, much to my disgust. But I've done it and fell off.
What about, I mean, there's a look like a lock there. Would that mean anything to you?
It's ludicrous.
Is it?
It's a laugh.
Really?
Obviously, over the railing in a second, you know what I mean? Easily.
Now, what about a door like this, for example? That's got 2 mortises, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, mortises are still very much available. You would have a set. One is an E and one is a T.
Oh, you can tell that, can you?
Oh, yeah, I can tell by looking, obviously. Yeah.
And what would you do? You'd use a twirl on that, would you?
Of course, yeah, double ender. And,
but there's a burglar alarm there.
Yeah,
Would that worry you?
Yes, very much so. I wouldn't attempt it.
You wouldn't?
No, because number one, you can't get behind it. You can't block it off. Normally, with burglar alarms, you can put cotton wool and what have you in them. But with that one, you can't. It's being built from the inside.
See, the richest areas must have the richest houses, but also the best protected houses, the best defended houses, more servants, dogs.
It's it doesn't always follow.
Doesn't it?
No, because let's face it, sometimes they're away, and they go away for weekends. Maybe they go to America or something. They usually leave somebody there, but while the cat's away, they might still play. And so the servants and what have you have to do their little thing, and while they're doing their little thing, you're doing your little thing. I look for windows closed, and usually closed all the way around, but they tend to leave a small one open to give the impression that there is somebody in.
Or leave a light on sometimes.
Oh, yeah, but it's invariably in the hall, or a dim one, maybe in the living room.
So if a householder hasn't obligingly left a window open for you, how do you get in?
Through the door.
Well, that would seem reasonable, yes,
yeah,
but how?
Obviously. There's various methods, you know. Number one, we use... we call it Lloyd. I suppose it's celluloid. It's got to be the right thousandth of an inch. You know, it's got to be 22 thou. In fact, I've got a piece with me. Would you like to see it?
Yeah.
Normally about this size, and you can see it's rounded at the edges here. Can you see?
Yeah. So you can handle almost any lock, but what would put you off?
There's always a dog element. I love dogs. There was one I feel very guilty about. There was a little yap that was worse than any Alsatian could ever be. He was one of those, I think, miniature poodle things, you know, and we had to put him in the fridge because he wouldn't stop. He was waking the neighbourhood up, you know what I mean? He wouldn't stop. And I said, look, I was very, you know, I thought, well, let's at least unplug the fridge. Because he was so frozen when he came out. It was such a shame.
Where do you get the information about the places that you might burgle? Do you read the society magazines and that sort of thing?
You know, the Jewish Chronicle and what have you. It gives all the weddings and everything. And who's going. So obviously, they're going off to a wedding. It can't be bad. You know where they're going to be and you know how long they're going to be. So we should get that regularly. That used to be a dot on the card, that one. And mind you, I've got nothing against Jews. It's just that they do seem to have some nice jewellery and some nice furs and what have you, you know. And I think they were shrewd enough to insure them, so I don't feel too bad about it, you know. But as you know something, the public don't play the game either. You haven't thought about this, have you? The public don't play the game because many times we've taken things and we know what they're worth because we've got them, and they have screamed for so much more. It's a liberty.
Yes, but despite the fact that people may be insured, do you have any conscience at all about this? Do you ever wonder how they feel when they arrive home and find that the whole place has been wrecked?
I did a little flat, you know, and I'd got a load of goodies that I'd already acquired, shall we say, and someone nicked them all off me, and I felt very upset. I sat on the carpet and missed all the, you know, oh God, they made a hell of a mess. And I cried, you know, and it hit me then that I just couldn't do this. And then I suddenly thought how they must feel, and they come home and they find their houses upside down. So from then onwards, I was always very tidy. I remember one incident. We got this safe, and we were in a place above us, solicitors, and we said, "Now, you sure you know what you're doing?" Right, everybody covered down, wallop. Next thing we know, there's a dirty big hole in the floor, and the safe's gone through the hole in the floor, and it's landed up in the solicitor's office. And this is true, this fellow was a magician, and we were going to have the safe. It was obvious, it was concealed, it'd been well hidden, we found it, we were going to take the safe. And I opened this box of matches, so I thought, you know, and out come thousands and thousands of hankies all over the place, you know. And everything you touched in the place, it was hilarious, it was. Everything we touched in the place, it wasn't handkerchiefs, it was cigarettes that went off bang and...
You make the whole thing sound like a romp, you know, like an outing.
It can be. But this is what I'm saying, you're not really aware of you're not aware of the hurt, you know, that you're going to cause the person that's lost it.
Now, all these things you steal, what do you do with them? Do you sell them to a fence?
If it's housebreaking, yes. If it's shoplifting, no.
Shoplifting is one of your specialities?
I suppose it's the speciality, yes, really. When the power strike was on, I wouldn't work. I said, I'm not going shoplifting because the odds are on my side too much. This is perfectly true.
Ethics?
Yeah, no, not ethics. I wasn't going to get the same kick, you know?
But is the satisfaction, is it a sexual satisfaction? A financial satisfaction?
If I nick a mink, it's a financial satisfaction. You get to the stage where you don't want to buy anything. And spending money is objectionable to you. Because
Now, what about this gear you're wearing now? Did you steal that?
Oh, yes. Mm.
Truly?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. Mm.
Did you?
Definitely, yeah.
Do you think anyone recognised it?
I don't care if they do. It was quite a while ago. I hang on to things. But,
Have you ever been caught shoplifting?
oh, yeah. I must tell you, we had a lovely little probation officer. She was absolutely gorgeous. And we used to sell her bent gear, but she didn't know it was bent, you see. She came to the Old Bailey and she stood up there and she was very tiny and fragile and what have you. And she said, look, she said, I know you won't believe this, and it does seem a bit amazing. She said, but there's an awful lot of good in these. So the judge, in no uncertain term, turned around and said, look, you've had them 6 years and 7 months. If you've done no good in 6 years and 7 months, you're not likely to now. I thought, for God's sake, woman, sit down, she's going to get us hung, you know what I mean? Then the next time that I got into trouble, I was expecting a baby. So nobody expected me to appear in court the following week because the baby was due. You see, I was in Holloway and the baby was due. So I landed up anyhow at Tower Bridge. And nobody turned up. The police or nobody turned up. And the judge said to me, have you got anything to say to me? And I said, yes, I'm in labour. Can I go home, please? And he sent me out in no uncertain manner. You know, he sent me home in an ambulance. The baby was born 2 hours later. After going into prison, I'd been there 7 months. And the governor said to me, look, Patricia, I'm going to send you to open prison. Will you abscond? And I said, yes. So she said, well, I'm still going to send you.
And did you want to break out?
In actual fact, I was quite enjoying Hill Hall. I didn't want to leave there. It was only that I got in a family way that I had to come out. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I was thoroughly enjoying myself. We were getting all the smokes we wanted. We were having drink. I used to clean the church out, and it's only 2% alcoholic, but it's better than nothing, you know. So we used to drink the poor vicar's drink. We found a little tiny window in the kitchen that I could get out of. And my boyfriend used to come up, and I used to meet him round the back of the church. And in the meantime, I mean, a woman is a woman for all that. And so consequently, I conceived on holy ground. And I just didn't have the bottle to go up to the governor in the nick and say, well, I'm 2 months pregnant. So I wrote home a letter in great distress and said, look, what's happening? So they said, well, you better come out, girl. And I came out and I had a beautiful baby boy.
So you'd enjoyed your life in the open prison. How did you find things in Holloway?
We used to have the Pentonville men come in. They came in to do odd jobs and what have you. They found the worst looking fellas they could ever find to send up there. They was all... their eyes going in different directions, bald-headed and everything. They were worse looking, but at least they smoked, you know, and we could get smokes from them. So I started to write to this one in particular. And he was working with an outside man, not a male screw, but a maintenance man. So, much to my alarm, or I don't know whether it was alarm or pleasure, he came in and the man was keeping watch. So I said to him, I thought, well, if I scream, I'm nicked. If I submit, I might enjoy it. And, you know, so anyhow, I submitted very gracefully, but I was against the boiler, you see, because this was the boiler room, it dried all the clothes. And I've got my backside against the boiler, standing up, if you don't mind, and I land up with two of the biggest blisters on my backside that you've ever seen. It was funny, I never stopped laughing all the way through it. But I didn't mind this, but he'd just done a 6-year sentence. And after he'd finished, he flaked out on me. And I didn't know what to do to bring him round, you know. I was in hysterics. I'm going mad, patting his face and everything. He just literally passed out on the floor, you know.
How many times have you been in Holloway?
About 5 times in all. Sometimes on remand and a couple of sentences. But enough. I'm looking to my left here now. This is the maximum security wing. This is E-wing. This is where Myra Hindley and the spies and what have you were. They're kept there. They're segregated, totally segregated. You don't mix with them at all. And over there is where I spent just over 2 years, over on F-wing, to the right.
Where the bars are?
That's right. Oh yeah, there's bars. There's bars everywhere. There's bars the whole way round.
Now you came down here to get one of the girls out of there.
Yes.
To let her escape.
Yeah.
How did you do it?
We used a rope ladder. She was allowed out, I think, about 6:30 in the morning, so we had it all timed beautifully. But she was late coming over. She was torn to pieces when she came over. And two wardresses, or prison officers, whatever you want to call them, I don't care what you call them, they're screws to me. They came down the side and a fight ensued, you know. We had to stop them getting to the telephone, obviously, so we squashed one in the door. She never forgave me for that. And then a fight ensued at the bottom of the ladder. Nobody really got hurt, and believe me, I can tell you, those two screws had their own backs on me when I got back in there, so the score was even, do you know what I mean? And I accepted it. I said, well, this is fair enough, do you know what I mean? I started my thieving very early, very young, and it continued from there. It escalated, really. I've seen smash and grabs. I've seen blags. A blag is when masked men take money from somebody that's carrying money down to the street or putting in a night safe. This is a blag. I've been on jump-ups. That's where you hijack a lorry.
Have you got anything planned now?
Just to make up for the few days' work I've lost. Waiting to do this.
Talking to me?
Yeah, telling you. And I've played it very straight this week, you know. I haven't done a thing this week, you know. I've had a whole week off. I've took my holes this week, you know.
Well, I'm very flattered that you should have made such an effort. Society is grateful to me.
They will be, I assure you.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure because I'm going to work twice as hard. The thing is that yes, I'm going to witness a bank robbery, and
Why on earth would you want to do that?
It's the only thing I've never seen. Oh, this is fantastic. It's ideal. This is an ideal situation. You've got muse flats. I just love it. I just love these muses. They've always been so profitable, so nice, so lovely, so easy to get in. And
if you were nabbed, I mean, would you make a run for it, or would you fight for it?
With the
What
police?
would you do? Yes.
Well, I usually wear a wig and what have you to start with, so I'll go in as a redhead and come out as a blonde.
Now, there are a lot of stories in the papers now about counterfeit money. Have you had anything to do with that?
No comment.
They say there's £1 million or £2 million worth of it about.
I believe so, yeah. No, I've heard reports.
Are they made here in England, are they? Or are they brought in from abroad?
Once again, no comment. I don't want to comment on that, you know. And, but they're extremely good. The man's very professional. He knows exactly what he's doing, you know.
Are you a violent person?
If you call smacking someone in the mouth violent, okay, yeah, I've been violent. If I've been followed out of a store and I've got one following me, then sometimes I lose my temper and I will go back and I will whack it. I'll whack her, you know. When we were kids, we used to go down to Portobello Road. There used to be a club there in particular, and in fact, I think we started this gang warfare because we'd stolen these rifles. We had 33 and 10,000 rounds of ammunition, and we had them stolen off of us. Well, everyone went berserk and they were going around shooting each other like lunatics, you know what I mean? Shooting each other's legs off and all the rest of it. I mean, I've seen a man cut to ribbons, literally cut to ribbons.
With a razor?
Yeah. Who in their right minds could get pleasure from just cutting someone to ribbons, just chopping them to ribbons? But they do. And it must be a sexual kind of pleasure, because I've actually been to bed with this man that cut somebody, and he's useless. Totally, he's no good. He's inadequate as a man in bed. But I've talked to the man that's done it afterwards. Like someone else put a glass in someone's face. No feelings, but elation, feeling of elation. The same feeling as I get when I walk out of that store.
But this is not as easy as shoplifting, and it's riskier than shoplifting.
If you go shoplifting, on an average, I suppose you earn about 40 a day. If you have one of these and you touch for a few thousand, you can have a few weeks holiday. You know, it's a day, bread and butter. Hoisting, shoplifting, or whatever you want to call it, is bread and butter, whereas this is nice. If you have it off, you've had it off. It's an impersonal thing.
But you see, you put your conscience right always, don't you, by saying that they're insured, you know.
So. Oh, but the whole point is, don't you realise it doesn't matter what you do in this world? Everybody justifies everything. You've got to justify something, because if you don't justify it, then it's wrong. It must be wrong. So whatever we do in this life, we justify.
Although you've always been a criminal, you've never in fact done any prostituting, have you?
Almost, at one time. I'd got the tools of the trade first of all, because they told me I had to have a rolled umbrella and I had to swing keys. So I've got my umbrella all rolled up beautifully. I walked under the corner and I met this girl Kathy that I've known for years and years and years, and I said to her, now listen, I'm gonna have a little pop tonight, you know, what do I do? So she said, you can't, you're drunk. I said, don't matter about me being drunk. What do I do? So she said, are you sure now? I said, positive. So at this moment, a car pulls up, a white car, and there's three fellas. So anyhow, I walked across to the car, and she'd already told me what to say. I had to say, is it for business? So that they said yes. So then I didn't know what to say then, so I ran back to her. I said, what do I say? How much? You know, they want to know how much. So she said, please don't go to 3 in the car. But if you do go, a £5. In the meantime, the back door is shot open, and the next thing I know, I'm getting an umbrella broken right across my head. I'm getting the biggest whack in the mouth I've ever had in my life, landed up on the deck. I am getting beaten something cruel. It's unbelievable. My first client turns out to be my old man, my boyfriend, you know what I mean? And he lands up, he really copped me one on the jaw, and I'm on the deck, and he's broke my jaw. And I can't talk. And the more I'm not talking, I won't answer him, because you can't talk when you've got a broken jaw, it falls down, you know. I can't answer him. So the more I'm not answering him, I sobered up. Boy, I was so sober. I was sober at that minute. He kept giving me another one, you know. Anyhow, eventually he runs me down to St Mary's Hospital, and I think I was there for about 8 weeks with my jaw on wire and what have you. And that was the end of my brassing career. I never ever decided to again, you know.
So your background is really the classic background for producing criminals, it would seem to me. You didn't know your father. Your mother was in a mental home. You were brought up by an alcoholic aunt, I believe.
That's right, yeah. They took me away when I was 7 for a while, because I was a man interfered with me, and they said she's not fit to play with anyone, and she's not being cared for properly, otherwise this wouldn't have happened. So they took me away, I think, for about a year.
Because you'd been assaulted?
Yeah, because I wasn't fit to mix with the other kids, you see. I knew what sex was all about then. Also, this is what they thought in their tiny minds. They thought, so they segregated me. Then after this, I sort of got sent to an approved school, Cumberlow Lodge, actually. They sent me there, and this is the breeding ground of everything. This is where lesbianism starts. This is everything. And then Borstal's even better, because you're older now, and Borstal, boy, what you haven't learned in the Prue school, you get in Borstal.
Do you have any conscience about what you're doing at all? I mean, do you worry about it?
Prior to this, I've never thought of consequences. Now I do. And the consequences I don't like, because I don't belong in Holloway. I don't belong in prison. Well, I haven't been very much in touch with reality, because reality, let's face it, it can be very cruel and a very nasty world. And let's face it, this is a fairyland world that's completely out of touch with reality. I want to enter a different world now. I've decided that I see the criminal world for what it is, and don't make no mistakes, I'm not knocking it. It's been very good to me. The people involved have been very good to me.
Now, how do you, as a professional criminal, how do you look at us? How do you look at the straights? Are you envious of the straights, or do you despise us?
Oh, how can I explain it? I aim to enter your world.
So you're envious?
No, I'm not envious now. My aim is this. I aim to be accepted by society first. And then after I've been accepted by society, I will call the ordinary people. Once they accept me as a person, then I'm going to enter your world in no uncertain manner. I've let you enter mine, and I'm going to enter yours, and you're going to know about me. For some unknown reason, I know you're going to know about me, because I want to. And I want to enter and to be accepted. And before, it was like a little girl looking up into the clouds. You look up there and you say, no, that's beyond me, I can never make it. But I don't feel that way anymore. I know I can make it.
That seemed the proper end for this programme, with Patricia knowing she could make it. But real life is not as tidy as those cops and robbers films about villainy, and last night her eldest son was arrested for theft. This morning, he was in dock.
It's the first time he's been arrested.
It's the first time he's been arrested.
So here you go again.
Well, there you are. It seems like a pattern sort of repeating itself, but I'm rather hoping it's not. I feel very emotional about it. I feel complete and utter failure as a mother at this moment, you know.
You see, I mean, you've got your own criminal record. Your boyfriend, who's living with you, has just come out after 8 years.
Yes.
So your son is surrounded by examples, isn't he?
In fact, he is, but we feel that if anybody can voice an opinion, it's got to be us. We've had it all, and what are we? We're just drastic failures, do you know? And this is just the very beginning.
You're dejected, obviously, but isn't this the criminal thing, that if you get away with it, you're triumphant? If you get caught, you're full of self-pity?
No, the thing is this, I went along to the court this morning to speak for my son, and I suddenly realised as I sat there the degradation of walking into that dock. You know, I've walked there many, many times and never felt degraded or anything. But suddenly, watching my son walk through there this morning, I realised the degradation behind it.
Now, if your son today had been sent to jail, what would you have done?
I think I would have become extremely violent in court and possibly sort of been sent away for contempt of court. I'm so sure of it, it's unbelievable. Had it in mind anyhow.
What were you going to do?
Over my dead body, will they take him?
What would you have done?
Oh, I don't know. Reverted to the sort of very brash me that would have sworn and possibly gone mad, literally mad, and I mean mad. I've taken that court apart, there's no doubt at all about it. As I say, yeah, I'm a violent person, okay? But I like to think I've got to be provoked into violence. I've got it sorted out mentally so that I'm a Catholic, and I've got a lovely little safe God, you see. My God made me, and anything that I do, he'll forgive me for. He's not going to put me in any fire or anything. He made me, he loves me, so, okay, he'll forgive me. God forgive me for what I've done. But it was all very enjoyable.